Good evening, Mayor, Council. Back again. It's construction season. It's our 5th season here in Michigan. So I'm just going to give a little bit of an update from our projects from last summer, and then we'll go right into the projects that we have planned for this summer. Here's our summary of our projects from last summer. We had probably one of the largest construction seasons that the city has seen in a long time, and that's just talking about road and bridges. We had our 2 federal jobs were West Holland from North Woodbridge to Hamilton, and then East Remington Street right here next to City Hall. Those were both full reconstructions. West Holland, we replaced some sewer, the full water main along the whole stretch, and all the road, driveways, ADA ramps, and the such. Also had a couple other reconstructs. Lapeer Avenue was, I believe, our fiscal year 21 CDBG project. For the last probably 10, 12 years, we've been marching down Lapeer, and we've got, I think, one more section to go. But this was a full reconstruct with new water main and everything like that as well, from Roosevelt, Austin to 6th. We do have some grass growth yet this year, so we're not quite done, but we're getting there. Wadsworth Avenue we completed last year. It's a little stretch that goes from Vets Memorial Parkway into the Lake State Rail Yard. That was our biannual reconstruct for a local street last year, and then we'll have another one of those coming up in the next fiscal year that starts in July as well. Some other road resurfacing, we had a concrete repair project on East Holland, this one block right here from Water to Washington next to City Hall, and we also had East Remington from Washington to Jefferson. So we did a lot of panels and concrete joint patches throughout there, and did ADA ramps to try to keep that road in a good condition without having to do a full reconstruct moving forward. We had our 2022 Mill and Resurface was one of the largest we've done in a while. It was about $1.7 million. We had Court Street, Genesee Avenue, Janes Avenue were our major streets that we did. We also did Weber, and then the Delaware, Northmore, Berger neighborhood. We did a lot of streets in there as well. And then our fiscal year 22 CDBG project was 12th Street from Perkins to Janes. So we got that completed along with ADA ramps, as well as ADA ramps running along Walnut. We did the Holland Avenue Bridge last year with concrete deck patches, and then finalized off with epoxy overlay. So that's been completed. We did the same thing on Genesee Avenue Bridge. We have not completed the epoxy overlay yet. It got too late in the year, had to be rebid, and so we got all the concrete patches done. But about Memorial, just about the week before Memorial Day, we'll be closing that down again for a week to get the project finished up. We also did Wicks Park Drive conversion to a non-motorized path. As you can see, the picture on here is a drone that our consultant took a picture with. That was almost 2 miles worth of road that about half of it was converted to the Iron Bell Trail non-motorized path. So that project turned out good. We've got some nice street lighting out there as well that will be getting powered up here in the next month. On the right side here, we did Balm Street surface lot, which, as you remember, a couple years ago, that parking ramp that was there, that was demolished, and then we finished up that new surface lot last summer. We also did the parking lot at Anderson Enrichment Center. That was appreciated over there. It's been bad for a little bit, and it was nice to get that one done. Then we also did the fire training facility parking lot that's right next to the Holland Avenue Bridge right here behind City Hall. I just want to talk real quick about some of our project selection factors. We look at major traffic generators near schools, hospitals, major businesses, industries. We look at, what type of street it is, whether it's like a major or a local street. There's different funding levels for each type of road. We look at our PASER ratings, which won't dive too far into those, but it's a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the worst, 10 being brand new. And so we look at that, and it's kind of a good guideline for what type of road fix we can do on a road. A 1 and a 2 or a 3 would be a complete reconstruction, almost too far gone to do anything else with. So we try to take care of these roads before they get to that level. Obviously, funding is always an issue, so we do the best we can with that. Moving on, I just wanted to show a brief snapshot of what we have right here for our PASER ratings. Obviously, the red is not good. The red is the poor, and that's ratings 1 through 4. As you can see on our major streets, that actually has gone up a little bit from the last couple of years. But our local streets, the funding is still laxing there from our Act 51 dollars. And so as of this moment right now, we are doing a resurfacing one year and a reconstruct the next. And that's kind of the annual back and forth we're doing, trying to take care of some of those local streets. The funding levels aren't as high as some of the major streets. All right, I'm gonna jump into actually what we have going on this summer. We have a Mill and Resurface project again, which we'll talk about these a little bit more in depth here. I'll try to, not bore you guys with some of the details on these, but we have Mackinaw Street is our federal job this year. That is from Congress to Alexander, and that'll be the last stretch to be done. So all of Mackinaw from Niagara all the way up to Weiss will have been done in the last 5 years. We'll have Meredith Street, our local street reconstruction for this year. That's going to be that 2-block section right next to MMR, just off M13 towards St. Mary's. And then we're looking at, we got funding from CDBG to resurface 3rd and 10th Street, with also doing ADA ramps in that area and on Janes. So we'll be doing those this summer as well. Just finishing up Genesee Avenue Bridge, and then as you I'm sure I've already noticed, Johnson Street Bridge is closed right now, so we have had a project going on there as well. The other one I'll touch a little bit more on, but we're looking at doing traffic studies and getting conversion of our one-way pairs to two-way streets. So I'll touch on that a little bit later. So the first one is our 2023 Mill and Resurface. Our initial thoughts were to finish up Janes, go from 6th all the way to the city limits, and then to finish up Genesee from what we did last year. Now, as of Friday, after this was already turned in, we had a meeting about the Memorial Cup, so we're probably going to change our plans a little bit and try to take care of Jefferson and Tuscola and all the roads surrounding the Dow. They're in a similar shape to Janes and Genesee, so we're still trying to formalize that plan. But with the Memorial Cup coming in next year, it'd be good to get some of those roads completed. We have about $750,000 in funding between major street and local streets for that. We actually had a little bit of a surplus after putting in our budget for local streets, so we actually added that money late. So that'll be an extra project we weren't actually planning on for the summer, so that's good. That'll be, because it's fiscal year 24, that'll be late summer and early fall timeline. Mackinaw Street's our big one. Like I said earlier, it's Congress Avenue to Alexander Street. It's a full reconstruction, doing drive approaches, ADA sidewalk ramps, improving drainage in the area, and we're also replacing the water main. We're actually taking the old water main out of service and reconnecting to another one that's already there that's in a lot better shape. So that'll take care of any lead lines and all that kind of stuff that's in the area as well. Rohde Brothers Excavating won the bid for that through the state. So we'll be starting that here May 1st, so only a couple weeks away. We do have a public meeting on that. I believe it's Monday, April 24th, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be right here in council chambers as well. So that project will go until beginning of October, if all goes well, of course. But so that's about a $2.9 million project. Bids have been coming in quite a bit high the last couple of years, so we're trying to plan for extra costs and trying to minimize that as much as possible. The next one I talked about, Meredith Street, that little stretch right next to MMR. That'll also be a reconstruct. We have already closed off the railroad crossing that's to the east there, and we're actually going to be getting about $50,000 from the state for closing that off, which will be put towards this project. So that'll free up about $50,000 from our city budgets, which is much appreciated for that project. That road is in pretty poor shape, and I know we've had complaints for a couple years now from MMR about just teeth shattering driving through there. So luckily there's no patience in them when they're leaving. But so that project will start probably towards the end of July, beginning of August, and that'll go until beginning of November. We've got the resurfacing of 3rd Street from Janes to Lapeer, and then 10th Street from Janes to Tuscola. This is a CDBG project. We received $300,000 for the road and $50,000 for ADA ramps in this area. And we're hoping to bid this with our fiscal year 23 ramps as well to try to get a better bang for our buck. So that project will be starting, end of July, beginning of August, and that'll go for a couple months there this fall. Everything seems to be pushing later and later in the summers with material issues and whatnot. So we'll be getting that done hopefully this fall. This is the same slides I had last year for this. I only left it on here because we're not completed yet. But this is Genesee Avenue Bridge. All the sidewalk repairs, deck patches have all been completed. The approach work's done. All we're waiting on is some better weather to do an epoxy overlay. Luckily, the Johnson Street Bridge and this bridge are both having an epoxy overlay done. It's kind of like a fancier chip seal, if you will. It seals in so no moisture can get into the deck. But we have the same subcontractor doing both projects. So luckily they're just gonna complete one and jump over to the other so that the bridges won't be close at the same time. So Johnson Street Bridge, like I said, that's underway right now. We're actually planning on opening that bridge up yet this week for about 3 weeks. We have a 28-day cure still. The concrete's already cured enough to drive on. So rather than keeping it closed for no reason, we're gonna open it up for 3 weeks. And then we'll shut it down for 1 week to do the epoxy overlay. That 28-day cure is a requirement. We have to wait before we can do the sealer. So that project we're hoping will be done by Memorial Day. So this one, one-way pairs, and as you all know, we have like 5th and 6th, Jefferson and Owen. We have Hess and Gallagher. There's, I think, 5 or 6 one-way pairs in the city. Back when we had 100,000 people, these were needed with all the industry and GM and everybody steering gear in here. Now we're seeing some issues, the traffic volumes are down, speeds are up, crashes are up, and the COVID pandemic did not help things with that. So we have been doing studies with a private consultant and going through these studies to check to see if they are good applicants for converting to two-way streets. And so 5th and 6th will be the first one we're starting on. And so we're hoping to do that this fall. And they will be probably closed for the whole 2 or 3 weeks that it takes. So new signage and pavement markings can be put up. And any signals, we'll have to add signal heads and all that kind of stuff. So we have about $150,000 budgeted for that. We're starting with 5th and 6th because the East Side Soup Kitchen has a plan for an expansion. And they actually want to close the road. I believe it's Perkins, might be Tompkins, I can't remember which one. Thompson, thank you. So that'll be part of that project as well. They want to expand into the existing Thompson street, which goes east off Genesee. So we'll be looking at doing that this fall. I just wanted to show, I know we kind of show this every year. This is just a total cost of our road and bridge construction for the summer. I like to show the non-city funds on here. That includes anything CDBG, which obviously is passed through the city, but comes from the feds. We get federal dollars from the state for our road projects. I also get a couple grants. So we're actively looking for funding opportunities so we can match with city dollars rather than paying 100%. This city funds includes road, water, and sewer, as the note says there. So that's what these funds are. And last year we were about a 50-50 split as well. So we try to match as much as we can and utilize any grant funding there is. Do have one project that's kind of a big one coming up this summer. That's kind of related to roads, but not really. We have our water shop is out replacing service lines and repairing water mains and any sewer breaks and catch basin issues. For years that, with the COVID pandemic, they got behind quite a bit with being about half staff or less. And they used to do their own patches, and they're still trying to ramp that up. But we have about 2,000 patches in the city that are still not they're temporarily patched, just need to be permanently patched. And so I'm sure you can see driving around some of these areas. And so this will be, project number 1 of probably a couple for the next couple of years to try to get caught back up and to complete those patches. So this is about 1.9 million. I think you guys just approved it at the most recent council meeting. If not, it was two ago. So most of these are the water services that water shop is going through and replacing as part of the lead abatement program. And so we're coming through behind them and trying to fix some of that stuff up. There was some good news here, fall of last year. We were notified in September, October that there was extra obligation. What that means, there's extra funding at the state level for federal projects. And so that was actually given about $2.25 million that has to be matched. We have to have that obligated to projects by September of this year. And so we had to advance quite a few projects, as you can see on this list here. Some of these were already in the hopper for the next couple of years, but we brought them forward with this extra funding. And it's going to be a good construction season next year with the extra projects we have. Mackinaw Street, we were able to reduce our local match and increase the federal amount. Jefferson, we added extra allocation of funding to that project as well and lowered our local match. Sheridan Avenue next year, same thing. And then we actually added 17th Street to this list. So that $550,000 extra we did for that was going to be, it eliminated 100% city funds from that project. So we will be matching that. There is still requirements for that, but that freed up a lot of city funds for us to do other mill and resurfaces and such. And also with that, we were able to add South Wheeler Street as well to our 2025 construction project. And so with this extra money and also with ARPA and everything coming around, there's going to be a couple good construction seasons coming up. So just moving here, I'm not going to go through all of these, but here's some of our future proposed construction. We have our annual, concrete repair projects and mill and resurfaces that we try to do. Like I said, we've got Jefferson, Sheridan, and 17th Street are all going to be federal projects that will be constructed next summer. And I'll be back here this time next year to talk a little bit more in depth about those. We have been actively applying for Sparks grants through the MDNR, and those are 100% grant funded, no match requirements. So we would love to get some of that money for park trails. We're also looking at Wheeler and Hess out in 2025. And one thing we were awarded about 2 months ago for Cass Street in Old Town. That's the 2 blocks there from Niagara to Michigan. We were awarded a TAP grant for about $650,000. And that road will actually go back as a brick road. So that'll be the first one that we have done in the city probably in close to 100 years. So that'll be kind of exciting. That'll be 2025 construction for that project. And then here's just some of the other ones we've got coming in the next, 7 years or so that's on our CIP.